A new Australian film has been completed, a film called Beat. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the writer-director of Beat, Jye Currie. Jye, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Now, this is quite an intriguing drama about a female pianist and a homeless man and how their stories dovetail. What was the inspiration behind creating this narrative?
Well, I've done a fair bit of traveling, and along my travels, I've seen a lot of homeless people in different countries and stuff. So I felt as if it was a topic that is very serious throughout not only Australia but the world, and it's something that I personally hadn't seen much being explored in cinema. And then I just thought, just to really make it interesting, what happens if that homeless person had a specific talent and still stayed on the streets, but then contrast that to if somebody in a different life scenario where they can go to clubs and be seen by a different perspective of society, they had the same talent. How would it then unfold? And I think the film tries to focus that the position she's in, she gets that easy rise through fame when he just struggles and stays on the street, but it's the same talent. So yeah, I guess it just kind of come from, just the wanting to explore homelessness, but also add like a bit of a talent and like a societal perspective from it as well.
Okay. Interesting inspiration and background. So tell me about fashioning the screenplay, because I gather this is your first feature film?
Yeah, first feature film.
Okay. So writing the screenplay and getting production behind you to be able to make the film, that must be quite challenging.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially being a first-time filmmaker. I guess it's hard to, you're reaching out to professionals in the industry that have been working for many years, and they look at you and think it seems to be a risk because they don't know what work you've done. So they don't want to jump on the next project that's kind of a flop or visually is not beautiful or doesn't work. So I was grateful enough that my short film prior, Victim, won 11 international awards. So that kind of gave us a little bit of leverage. And when we sent the script out to particular actors and crew members, and we had a private investor on board and things like that, it was enough just for them to listen and read the script of Beat, and then kind of the script sold itself, and then people were just excited. And it was in the months of COVID, so we had to work through a lot of issues externally. But I think people were just really excited that it was going ahead. We didn't get the luxury of shooting over 3 months. We had to shoot it very quickly. But it was better than doing nothing for 2 years during COVID. So everyone really was just passionate about it and jumped on board, yeah.
Oh, well done on getting that done. And so the film takes a somewhat somber sort of tone and talks about disconnection and about connection, so to speak. So in terms of writing that, you must have gone through a number of drafts before you decided to start shooting.
Yeah, so are you talking more about the ending of it, or?
The tone is there actually throughout.
Yeah. So I guess I really hope for my work to shed a new light on topics, or create a space where the audience can look at a theme or a topic from a new perspective. And I guess there's two ways of motivating people, where you could, let's just say the goal of something is to get somebody to want money. So you could show somebody flash cars and a beautiful house, and they might want to now pursue money, or I could show them poverty and they might want to run away from poverty and chase money. And I guess just the way that the story fit is, I thought, well, I might show them the bad side of it and make them think about it differently, as opposed to showing them the positive side. And just approach, I felt people are going to, the emotions of the film will sit more with people. They'll think about it longer after the viewing. It might stick around emotionally in their mind. So it was more coming from that approach moving forward.
Okay. Interesting. So you've mentioned casting. You've got an interesting array of actors. how easy was it to get them and rehearse them to get them to do the roles that you wanted?
Yeah, like we managed to secure some fantastic actors and actresses. It was difficult, I think, just because not having made a feature film before, but the process was quite difficult. But when it got in the hands of the right people, it was easy. So when like Rachel Kapani got it, she actually had to step in place of another actress that had to pull out. She read the script and was just like, "Yep," just drove straight up from Sydney. The next day, we went through the script 4 or 5 times and just caught her up to scratch. She had to step in last minute. But as soon as she read the script, like I felt as if it attracted the people that it needed to have to tell the story. There was a lot of actors that we reached out to and it never got to, and they didn't want to move forward with it. And I guess that's just the nature of it. But those that wanted to, that felt connected to it, really went for it. So.
Okay, yeah. Again, it's a good cast. It's nice to see John Wood in a small role.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. Yeah, he really enjoyed it.
Okay. Now tell me about the music, because the music is such an important part of the film. How did you source the music, and I notice you've got a composer on board. Tell me about all that.
So we had the privilege of working with Sid Acharya. So Sid's a local composer here from Newcastle. He's done amazing work all over the world. Like his work's been played in Houston Space Center for NASA. Like he's doing incredible stuff. He done the score in my short film Victim. So I knew straight away, and I always will, we've got a great relationship and he'll be a part of all my films moving forward. But straight away, we engaged really early, like when it was script phase, we were already talking about ideas of setting the tone of the film and creating that world through music. And then obviously with the film being so heavily driven by classical music, I didn't want to just buy rights to songs that people knew. So we took on the challenge of, on top of everything, creating original piano pieces. So me and Sid, Sid reached out to a classical pianist in France, who was an award-winning pianist, and we engaged with him, and he basically was giving, like, showing us what is, so many rules in the playing like classical music and like on the piano. So he was showing us like keeping us in that world of like what's doable and what's not. So we shaped 12 original songs that only for the film, so you won't be able to hear them anywhere else. We will be releasing a soundtrack later on, but we had the privilege of creating them, and Sid done, I think, maybe 6 on his own and 6 with John, and it was crazy just to see it all come together from an idea and a script to really, like, I feel as if the score and the piano piece is just something so unique in cinema, let alone like Australian cinema. So it's so beautiful to see that come to life.
Sure, absolutely. And it's interesting that you obviously would have had a double for Rachel in terms of the piano playing and so on, because I assume she wouldn't have been able to play that herself.
that was her, or her. So
Was
so she learned to play several songs, the same as Kevin. And it was Ellie. Sorry, Ellie was Alexandra Jensen played that role.
Oh, Alex.
Sorry, and so she learned to play several songs, and the other ones we worked with, like Sid come on set, which is quite strange, or not strange, but it's uncommon for a composer to be on set during production. But because he plays piano, we'd get as much as we could out as she would play, and the rest that we would get to where they had to be, and it was just a matter of trick shooting. That was all her. Yeah, no double.
How interesting. I really assumed that there was a double there. So well done. Tell me about locations, because you obviously Newcastle, of course, Sydney, and how easy it was to film in various places.
Yeah, so we shot in 33 locations throughout Newcastle. we sent second unit down to Sydney to get some cutaway footage, because in the film it does take place down in Sydney, but everything was shot here in Sydney, in Newcastle, sorry. The support we received from the local community was just unbelievable. Like, I went around to businesses, cafes, restaurants, theatres. Like, the Civic Theatre is an iconic theatre here in Newcastle. It's the biggest theatre we have. Just spoke to them, and spoke to like little independent theatres and restaurants and nightclubs, and they literally were just shutting the doors and just said, just, you need it for 2 days. Just got behind the film and just really helped us out. Like, it's a low budget film. We didn't have any support from any funding bodies. It was just a vision, and just a lot of passion involved, and people were just like, let's make this movie. And, you know, there was times we had like 300 extras from Newcastle just take time off work, come out and just sit in the audience as a member watching the theatre performance, like the Ellie play. And just the community just got behind it so much. You see all the streets when Kevin's playing on the streets, everyone there in suits, they're all extras. They're just taking a day off work to come dress up and walk around and just create that world. And like, between the locations and the extras and the local community, it was just fabulous, like incredible to see how much they got behind it.
Oh, well done on that. And interesting you say they're extras and so on, because you found some really tough guys to beat up that poor old homeless man.
Yeah, well, they were actors, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they really got into it. So tell me about the direction, because directing this really good ensemble of actors in the various locations, and your first feature film, although you've done a short film, that must have been a challenge as well, especially because you had to operate in such a tight timeline.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the direction that we had. Like, originally we were planning on filming like around 30 filming days, but just with COVID we had to cut it down to 15. So each scene now gets half the attention. You know, we've got to get half the coverage of each scene. Visually, I'd love to, let's get up on this roof and shoot a shot from here and from here and here. And it got to the point some days where we make the movie with these key shots and we have to commit to the choice on set and that's it, or we don't make the movie because we're wasting time getting these big, beautiful, flashy shots, which would have been fabulous. But just in the conditions that we had, you know, we just had to adapt. I think we'd still done a great job in terms of what coverage we got. I think we had enough time still to explore, to really find the emotion with the actors and the actresses before each take. So we really like we did have rehearsal days and stuff, but I like to direct from a more of an emotional standpoint as opposed to move your hand here, like really talk to the actors and actresses and really find what's your character feeling right now, what emotional state are they in, and how we're going to express that on screen. And I think just we managed to do that even with all the restrictions and everything that we had. So
well done on that. That worked well. And did you use a single camera, or because you mentioned coverage, or did you sometimes use two cameras?
No, we had a single camera.
Which of course makes things very tight.
Yeah.
And then I suppose that the editing part of that, because you would have had a number of takes, etc., that must have been also a bit of a challenge.
Definitely. And I think the thing with editing as well, there was going to be 4 editors, and we were all going to work at the time. We've got an office in town. We had it set up that we're all going to work. The day we wrapped, the next day everyone went back into lockdown, and everything was closing. So there was no working in that place anymore. So we had to reschedule the whole editing. Post-production just completely changed. We set it up so there was now only 2 editors, mainly myself and Alan Brady. We engaged with a regional colorist up north in the middle of New South Wales, and everyone had to do it remotely. So we were sending copies to everyone, and everything just changed. Like you couldn't plan for it. It was 1 minute we're thinking, yep, perfect, we've just finished production, we're ready for post, and then all the rules just changed again, and just another thing, just had to adapt. It's like, you're gonna wait it out and do the normal editing process where we can be together, we're watching it together, making choices together, or it's, you know, luckily the technology, like you and me are chatting over Zoom now, we still could do all that, but it was just all remotely. It was different. We couldn't engage with as many people as we liked, but we got it done. So,
well done on persevering to get this feature film out there. So well done. Now, tell me about Beat in terms of the release of the film. How will the film be rolled out, and how can people get to see it?
So we're currently exploring distribution. We're tossing up. We've got a few options regarding theatre release or straight to streaming services. We've had distribution companies in America reach out to us, and then that's a whole nother thing. But at the moment, what I can say certain is we're going to run it out through film festivals. So we're waiting to hear back from, we've submitted into the main few that would love to have the world premiere at, and we're just going to see if we get in them and move forward through them. So we're aiming to have the release later in the year, around after the film festivals are kind of rolled in a little bit. So yeah, I'll have more news on particular theatres or particular streaming service it will go to later on.
Okay, well, wish you well with that, because it's important to get the film out there somehow, and yeah, for audiences to see it. So I'm quite intrigued, Jye. What was it that, what was the spark that got you interested in becoming a filmmaker in the first place?
I actually come from, I've always done photography, just always traveling. Like, I've been over 50 countries, and every time I'm traveling, camera in the hand, walking up to people on the streets, unique people, and I ask them to take their portrait and have that interaction of taking their portrait and asking their story and talking. And when two people just sit down and just tell each other a story, they say, "What are you doing? Like, where are you from?" And I tell them I'm traveling, and then they tell me where they've been, where they're going. And I think I fell in love with the idea of just storytelling between two humans, and naturally having a passion for cinema, my love of storytelling just kept evolving into, well, I want to do this visually and through the medium of film. So that's where it's come from.
Interesting. Do you have any particular films or filmmakers that might have inspired you?
Martin Scorsese, definitely. Christopher Nolan, he's probably my favorite director. Yeah, like them two definitely have impacted my vision and goals and ambitions towards becoming a filmmaker, for sure.
Okay. And now that the pandemic perhaps is slightly lessening and filmmaking is becoming a little bit easier, are you planning another film at the moment?
Definitely. So I'm early days in my second feature in the script. So it's going to be a romance thriller. Planning on shooting it up in Brisbane. And yeah, so just developing the script at the moment. So much I've learned from Beat that we'll be implementing in this one, and got our eyes on a few nice actors and stuff that we'll be engaging with. And yeah, it's really early days to share too much at the moment, but yeah, I'm hoping to start production. We can kick production off later this year. We'll be on track. So
okay. Very good, very good. And I gather you have a website, don't you, where people can learn a bit more about Beat and about your productions?
Yeah, so the production company is called Green Frog Productions. So we've got the short film Victims on there, and all the information about Beat is as well. We will be releasing a behind the scenes documentary on Beat on the website as well. It just kind of we had like a cameraman come around and film on set most days and just we interviewed everyone, and just some of the obstacles we had to overcome, the challenges we faced, and just the whole making of a movie. Like, if you don't want to watch the movie as much and you're really interested with like how is a movie made, like, it's all in there. So yeah, we'll be releasing that within the next few months as well.
I wish you well with that, and hopefully the film will get a release of some sort later in the year. And we've been speaking to Jye Currie, the writer-director of Beat. Look out for that film, and thanks so much for talking with me.
Thanks, Peter. Really appreciate your time.
All the best.
See you, mate. Bye.